Hello people, and today we are going to be taking a look into the world of Game Boy piracy, or specifically the Game Boy Color, with the Super Color 25 in 1. As you can see, it says, well, right next to it says, no repeat, 64M plus 1M HIM. I'm assuming that's supposed to mean 64 megabytes plus an extra megabyte for save files or something. I'm pretty sure that's overblown, because I don't think 25 Game Boy Color games or Game Boy games or whatever would make up 64 megabytes. I could be wrong on that though, but I severely doubt it. And as you can see, if you look at the label, there are a couple of things on the right which are obviously taken from Pokemon. And if you look at the list of games, as you can see, there are a fair few Pokemon games, as in like the first 8 that are listed on here, and of course 17 other games. And one thing that you might notice is that it actually says Nintendo Game Boy trademark on the top, which is basically what a typical official Game Boy cartridge does, which just kind of makes sense. But it's a bit unusual here, because after all, it is a pirate cartridge, so you wouldn't really expect it from this Multicart, really. But they did it, for whatever reason. Oh no, they tried to look official, I guess. What's even funnier is that if you turn over on the back, it actually says Made in Japan, patent pending. Somehow I doubt it was made in Japan, because typically they're made in places like Taiwan and China. And patent pending, oh no, I'm no expert on that sort of thing. So let's move on to the game itself, or the Multicart or whatever. Okay, so here we are, about to start this thing up. Now, I would record this on the Game Boy Color, but it would be a complete pain in the arse to do, and the screens are backlit, so you wouldn't really be able to see what's going on. So instead, I'm going to use the power of my Super Nintendo, or Super Game Boy, rather. Shove the cartridge in there, and we're back. As you can see, the Super Game Boy had its work. So yes, as you can see, the Super Color 25 in 1. True HIM. To be honest, I really don't know what that means. Maybe it's the developer, but yeah, I've got no idea. But yeah, no repeat, of course. JPK 002. I'm guessing that's supposed to be the cartridge ID or something, but there wasn't one on the actual cartridge, which is kind of weird. Yes, you press the B button to go through the pages, of which there are 3, and the A button to select the games. Oh, whoops, you're pressing the B button because I'm an idiot. Select button, I will come to that later, but for now, let's play Pokemon Yellow. I'm not going to show you all the Pokemon games because there's just no point. But yeah, Game Freak, of course, the people who made the actual games. Pokemon Yellow, as you can see. Now, of course, in case you're wondering why the colours are not as good as they are on Game Boy Color, that's just because of the Super Game Boy not being able to display proper Game Boy Color graphics. It's a shame, really, because of course the Super Game Boy came out a few years before the Game Boy Color itself. But as you can see, there is actually a continue option, which basically means the save option does actually work with this Multicart. Like, yeah, I'll show you. I'll get more into that in a bit. But yes, Pokemon Gold, as I will show you, it's like, as you can see, it's the proper game, proper translation and everything. So you don't have to worry about having to interpret what the hell a ghost baby is, or whatever they're called on the fake translations. I can't remember, to be honest. But yeah, you can kind of see that I haven't actually got very far in this game yet. I don't know. It's just me being lazy. That and I haven't actually owned this Multicart for very long. But yeah, as you can see, I have been playing this for a bit. But yeah, if we go back to the menu, yes, we do have to endure this every single time we reset. One of the reasons I'm not going to show you all the Pokemon games, as well as that, there's just not really much point because they are the real thing. Pokemon Gold, Silver, Yellow, Red, Blue, Green Card. Yes, they are all the real games. Pokemon Stadium, that is a rather interesting one, which I will show you in a bit. But as you may notice, Pokemon Blue and Green. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, Pokemon Blue and Green are like the different versions of the same game, essentially. Granted, I guess you could argue that Pokemon Red is basically a different version of Pokemon Blue, but whatever. Yeah, Pokemon Green's in Japanese, Pokemon Blue is in English, and they are just the games that you expect, really, if you're a Pokemon fan. What's interesting though, you press the select button, you get the save menu, which basically allows you to delete any save files you have. I'm not going to, of course, because I don't feel like it. But, oh, in case you're wondering, Pokemon Card is basically just Pokemon the trading card game. Also, I think Pokemon Gold was copyright hacked, and the rest weren't, which is a bit strange. But, Pokemon Stadium is a rather interesting one, because as you can see, it is made by some weird company called Good Life, who I assume aren't associated with the TV show. And yes, it was made in the year 2000, apparently. Yeah, the graphics on straight over the Pokemon Yellow intro. If there's a picture there. You can skip the intro for a bit. And yes, the Something 2000 Super Something, with this rather cheap looking title screen. And yeah, you start the game, and you get these options in Chinese which I can't read. If you get past that, you can start the game up. I believe this one is in colour as well, but I can't remember. But as you can see, the whole game's in Chinese, so I've got no idea what's going on. Aside from the fact that there are Pokemon roaming around the land, and no trainers to, you know, train them. But yes, the Pokemon are not happy, and apparently they've got lost in Pokemon Red or Pokemon Blue, or possibly even Pokemon Green. Music's alright, seems to be original as far as I can tell, but I could be wrong on that. And now the battle system is completely different from the real Pokemon games, as I will show you. Because in this game, you have to like press the button at the right time. And quite clearly, I pressed it at the wrong time because my reactions suck. Yeah, I'm not very good at this game, as you might have noticed. And it's completely... Oh, that was lucky. Yeah, it's more... The problem with this game, to me at least, is that it's based more on luck than it is skill. Like, if you don't press it at the right time, you're screwed. And if they dodge constantly, then again you're screwed. I'm gonna see if I can try and win this at least. Apparently not, because I suck at this game and I can't be bothered to play it anymore. And the sound effects sound like a Tamagotchi or something. But anyway, let's move on to the next game. Oh yes, I forgot to point this out. I do like how it shows the Chinese names at the bottom. As you can see, Bokujima 3, which is in fact Adventure Island 3 on the Game Boy. Well, okay, it's the Japanese version, but you get what I mean. For some odd reason, like the American version of this was called Adventure Island 2, which I don't really understand that. But yeah, it is Adventure Island 3, which is nice. Just to prove it. There we go, there's the number 3. And yes, as you can see, it is in fact Adventure Island 3 on the Game Boy, which is nice. Obviously, it's not quite as good as the NES version, but as far as Game Boy games go, rather, this is a very good game. And granted, you can kill Gary the Snail. Probably not a good thing if you're a SpongeBob fan. But yeah, he goes revenge. And yeah, let's go on to the next game, which is Bonk's Adventure. This is a pretty good game, although I haven't played the other versions of it, to be honest. But I just recently started playing this one properly. But yeah, Bonk's Adventure is a very good game. One thing that does kind of annoy me though is the lack of range with your attack. I know I've always found it frustrating in games where you literally have to be right next to the enemy to hit them. It just kind of annoys me. I don't know, pet peeve in games. I guess you could say. And, oh yeah, and there's certain enemies which you can't actually kill, I don't think. But you do get this. You eat the meat, and then you become possessed, or something. See, you can wow the enemies to death, which is awesome. Being able to yell wow at the enemy to kill them is a pretty awesome ability, I should imagine. Kind of reminds me of Parodius when you collect, I think it's the blue bell power-up, I forget. Where it's like, you yell random things at the enemies to kill them. But yeah, that's Bonk's Adventure. And next up is what the menu calls Snow Brothers, but this is actually Snow Brothers Jr., because it feels like being pretentious or something. Okay, maybe not pretentious, but you know what I mean. Again, another classic game. I've played the NES version of this before. I'm not too good at this game, to be honest with you. I personally have, I mean, I did get through a few floors of this earlier when I was playing at college. And yes, this is a very good game, actually. But yeah, as you can see, you kill enemies with red-looking snow. Yeah, that's limitations of the Game Boy, because you didn't have that problem with the NES version, because after all, colour. Okay, I picked up a bottle or something. Not entirely sure what that did. I swear the sound effects, I swear it sounds like when you shoot something in Contra. But yeah, this is Snow Brothers. If you like Bubble Bobble, then there's no doubt you'll like this game. And it is certainly one that I recommend. So, yeah, next game. Okay, we're back. Yeah, next up we go on to page 2, which is, we start off with World Cup Soccer. Or World Cup Soccer, if I can pronounce it right. Or Nintendo World Cup, as the title screen calls it. Now, I own the actual cartridge of this one, funny enough. And this is a pretty good game, although it is, well, as far as I've played at least, it's really easy, I have to say. You know, it's like, if you have the right strategy, it's pretty easy, as I will show you, hopefully. The enemies can be right buggers though at times. Yeah, as long as you fake out the opponents, you should be fine. Oh, whoops, pressed the wrong button. But yeah, as you can see, it is pretty easy when you know how to play it. Okay, pass the ball, goddammit. I'll have to do it myself. And yeah, you only control one bloke on the pitch. The rest are controlled by the computer. Boy, and I just knocked out my own player there. But yeah, that's Nintendo World Cup, or World Cup Soccer as the menu called it. Next up is Dodgeball, and I forget what the real name of this is, but this is actually the Japanese, well, it's actually the Game Boy version of Super Dodgeball for the NES, which I have heard is a classic game, although I never really played it myself, so I can't really say for sure. But yeah, as you can probably guess, it is a dodgeball game. Basically, you have to kill your opponents by throwing the dodgeball at them. It sounds a bit violent for you know, a dodgeball game, but what is rather annoying though is the people who are like off the pitch. I always found them to be rather annoying. Yeah, as you may notice, I'm not very good at this game, mainly because I always forget which player I'm controlling. So it always seems to be one that's flashing, but then again, they all seem to be flashing most of the time. And yeah, they always end up catching it as well, which is rather annoying. Yeah, it's a, well, I'm guessing it's a good game, but to be honest, I could never really figure out how to play it. Game 14 is Ultraman Ball, which is the real name in case you're wondering. Yes, I did look it up. Made by a company called Interbeck. As you probably imagine, the story's in Japanese, so I'm not going to bother with it. But yeah, Ultraman, it's almost like someone tried to cross Sonic the Hedgehog with Metroid and gave it the Ultraman license. As I will show you. Basically, you can you can morph into a ball like in Metroid, and you can roll around like in Sonic the Hedgehog, although, granted, this game isn't anywhere near as good. Sonic the Hedgehog in terms of physics-wise. You know, I mean, what really annoys me about this game is that you can't roll up hills, which is a bit weird. I mean, you know, you get plenty of momentum. You think you'd be able to roll up a hill in this game, but apparently not. It's alright for what it is, but it's not going to win any awards. There's a few secrets here and there, which is nice. But like I said, not going to win any awards, I don't think. It's alright. It's alright to pass the time though, so it's alright. And after all, it is Ultraman, so how can you not like it? Unless it's the Super Nintendo game, of course that game was awful. And yes, Bubble Bobble. Yep, if you like Snow Brothers, there's no doubt you'll like Bubble Bobble. Classic game. Yes, I do apologise for the abrupt jump cut, but my dad came in to grab a beer. Probably should drink and drive, but there you go. Anyway, let's start Bubble Bobble. Hurry up! Get the moon water so you can help your brother. Well, you have to, aren't you? He's turned to a freaking dragon, for Christ's sake. But yes, Bubble Bobble. A surprisingly cute game for something with a really sort of devilish theme. Yes, yes, you play as some kid that's been transformed into a devil, and you have to save him. Ooh, I collected the Game Boy. Then again, I already have one, so I don't really need that. P.S. Bubble Bobble is an awesome game, as many of you will know already. Another classic, really. And yes, I collected a floppy disk for some odd reason. Don't think they'll be advertising PC games in a Game Boy game or something. No, you're not killing me. I'm a dragon, and I'm awesome at that. But yeah, that's Bubble Bobble. I'm sure you all know how to play that. Next up is another familiar game, Castlevania. Unfortunately, it is the Castlevania Adventure, a game which is negatively received among the Castlevania fanbase. And to be honest, it's not hard to see why. There are a few things that kind of bog this game down. Now, first off is you can't really get like proper power-ups where, you know, like the holy water or anything like that. You know, that kind of stuff you're not going to find in this game, which is a shame, really. Another thing that's annoying is that every time you get hit in this game, much like the new type, or eventually Dynamic if you prefer, on the Famicom or the NES, yeah, every time you get hit, your weapon gets downgraded, which is, like I said in the new type review, ridiculous. The new type review, the 119.1 blue review rather. Another thing that's rather annoying is just the platform at times. Like, you have to make, like, a lot of the platform in this game is based on precision jumps, which is just stupid as far as I'm concerned. I mean, precision jumping is not fun. Stop putting it into video games, you idiot developers. And yes, as you can see, my whip has been degraded because of some giant eyeballs. It makes no sense and it's incredibly annoying. Next up is Pinball Party. I forget the real title of this, but it's some Japanese pinball game, as you will see. Now this game it's alright, I guess, but the physics engine is not quite there, as you will see. It's let's say it makes pinball on the NES. I mean, physics-wise, it makes pinball on the NES look realistic, to put it simply. I mean, as you can see, like the ball goes partly into the flippers, which just doesn't look right. And yeah, the table was quite clearly designed by a complete douchebag. I guess it might be alright if it wasn't for that, but yeah. I don't know, personally I'd rather play NES pinball myself. Contra Spirits, a familiar game to a fair few people out there. Created by Konami and Factor 5. And yes, as you can see, it is of course, well, the Game Boy version of Contra 3. What's funny is that they called it Contra Spirits on the menu, and yet it's actually the American version, which is of course Contra the Alien Wars. Now, Contra is an awesome game, but then again, you knew that already, I think. Then again, why am I assuming that? Oh yeah, because Contra is a classic, by all means. yeah, don't really need to explain this game much. You know, you run around and shoot stuff. Just because I'm doing better than I was in that last time I played Contra on that 119 pink. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'll just dive down and get killed. But anyway, we will move on to game number 19, which is Alleyway. Now, again, I own the cartridge of this, and quite frankly, this game is shite, as I will show you. Well, it's not necessarily shite, but it's boring as hell. Imagine Arkanoid without the power-ups, and that's essentially this game. You know, it's basically Breakout on the Game Boy, which I guess is not... I mean, the physics are alright, it's just boring. It's as simple as that. It's like, yeah, you're not going to play this for more than 5 minutes. Unless you're really bored and you have no other games on you. Yeah. What's also weird is that this is like the only game on here by Nintendo, I think. And yet it's also one of the worst games on here, which is a bit odd. Especially seeing as the console is by Nintendo, you'd expect more games by them on here, really. But yeah, it's Alleyway. It's a boring game. Enough said. You know, it's like, why did they make that? It's like, why couldn't they add power-ups in this? Yeah, getting over that. Tetris. I'm sure you all know what Tetris is. If you don't, you're a complete idiot. And yes, Tetris is an awesome game. But you knew that already, didn't you? Yes, in this game, you have to build walls. Yes, made by Bulletproof Software, the same people who did that awful Famicom version. I say awful because I'm not a fan of it. Yeah. But this version is a lot better, as I will no doubt show you here. Just make a line just to prove that this is Tetris. There we go. I got points because I'm awesome. Actually, how many points do you get for dropping this? Oh, I wanted to get 1,337 points, but it wouldn't let me. Okay, so we're back, and we move on to game number 21, which is Battle City. Now, anyone who has ever owned a Famicom Multicart, or NES Multicart, will most likely be familiar with this one, as I will show you. And yes, it is just like the Famicom version. Graphics are a little better, music is not quite as good, in my opinion. Gameplay is very much as it was on the Famicom. Although it's a bit different, just in terms of physics. Power-ups are very much there, and if you are familiar with the Famicom version, you'll be right at home here. You know, I mean, even the level designs are the same pretty much. This version was made by a company called Nova, I believe, but aside from that, pretty much the same thing, really. Oh, and of course the lack of colour, but you know what I mean. You know, it even has the power-ups and such. So, that's a nice game. And so we move on to the last game on this page, which is Magura Dupont. Now, when I saw the title, I was expecting some like Panel Dupont, you know, the puzzle game, which I think was called Puzzle League. But I'm kind of disappointed with this one, to be honest, because it's basically, as I'll show you in a bit, this is basically just whack-a-mole on the Game Boy, which is, you know, it's boring on the Dream. You know, it was boring on the Dream Gear, and it's not really much better here. Yep, it's whack-a-mole. There's really not much more to say about this one, really, other than it does pick up intensity later on, so it does make it better than the Dream Gear version at least, but that's not really saying much. Yeah, and you can't pause the game either, which granted, this is a very short game, but still, it's just kind of annoying. Game 23 is Asteroids. Here's one game that a lot of people should be familiar with. Yes, it is a port of the arcade classic. Of course, the problem with this is that, of course, the arcade game was a vector graphics game, which means that it's not going to translate perfectly to the Game Boy, because of course the Game Boy uses raster graphics. A few problems with this version. First off, one mistake that I keep making is that I keep pressing the A button to shoot when it's actually the B button. The A button sort of just walks you around the screen and eventually kills you after you press it enough times. And yes, I keep killing myself because I'm an idiot. But yeah, apart from that, it is Asteroids. You know, it's like, as you remember it, graphics are better, but gameplay isn't quite as good. Side Pocket is of course the pool game. Some people out there will probably be familiar with Side Pocket. Although this version seems to call itself Side versus Pocket, or Side Pocket versus. But yeah. Yeah, of course this game was also on the NES. It was on the Supervision 16-in-1. Although, of course, I haven't shown you that Multicart. Probably should do actually, but I haven't got around to it. And yes, as you can see, this game's all right. If you like pool, then you might be right at home here. But I don't know. Personally, if I want to play this game, I'll play pool in real life. To be honest, can be crazy, but yeah, physics are a bit. I don't know. The balls are a bit too small, I think. I mean, yeah, they're a bit small in proportion to the table. Okay, apologies for yet another jump cut, but apparently I can't get 5 minutes alone in this house. So anyway, last game on here is, well, the menu calls it Double Dragon. When you start the game up, it is actually Double Dragon 2. And trust me, when you compare this to the original Double Dragon, that is definitely a good thing. You know, if you played the original Double Dragon on Game Boy, you would probably know why. But I can't be bothered to explain because I don't have the time. And yeah, that's basically the story. The gameplay is kind of annoying, just like in all Double Dragons, really. It's it's no Street of Rage, in my opinion. I mean, I grew up with Street of Rage, so I've always preferred that game myself. But that's just me, really. I do like they can kick someone in the face and then punch them, and then just send them flying. That I do like. What I don't like is when they keep punching you constantly, which is kind of annoying, really. But yes, Double Dragon 2 on the Game Boy, it is alright. One thing I've heard is that the controls on the NES version are kind of awkward, which, strangely enough, the Game Boy version does not have. Like in this game, the controls are exactly the same as Double Dragon 1, as far as I can tell. Well, near enough. Like the button layout is the same at least. Like, basically, you press the A button to punch and the B button to kick. From what I've heard in Double Dragon 2, it's based on what direction you're facing, which is kind of stupid. No, I mean Double Dragon 2 for the NES, rather. But yeah, Double Dragon 2, good game. Although, yeah, if you're a fan of Double Dragon, then you will probably like this game. But that is the end of the review, so I'll see you later, people.